When you get your block out of the clamps, take a scraper and just take off the worst of it. You don't need to dig in a lot, just scrape off the bad bumps. There, that's about it. Only on the faces. I'm not as worried about the ends yet. We'll handle that later. Next, we need to true up one of the faces. It doesn't matter which face, but put the long edge here against the fence and run it across the machine. Now we take the piece directly to the table saw. We're going to put this nicely jointed edge against the fence and run it at 2 1/4. Set it to 2 1/4. And then of course we have to raise the blade because this is extra tall. The handle is found in front of your knees, right in front of the machine. Just make it so the teeth are sticking up above that at the bottom of the gullets. Match the top edge of the board, drop it down, and run it through just like always. The guard should go on top of it. Okay, now that both edges are flat and it's 2 1/4 inches wide, now we're just going to trim the end off. This is why I didn't bother scraping the glue, because we're going to use a saw to do it. Hold it against the fence, and the idea is to trim off the end just to get it flat. We don't have to cut it to any kind of a length, so keep it fairly long. Bring the blade down and just lightly trim. There, nice and smooth, the glue is all gone, and now we'll cut it to the next part. We come right back to the table saw. The blade is still really high where we left it. So now we're going to use this jig that you're going to find in the back, which I'm happy to give to you. Now, as you can see, the marker kind of shows how this piece goes in. So it goes in just like this, nice and tight, and then it just clamps in and it holds it in place. So we need to remove the guard, which you should have done previously. Lift up the knob, this comes out, put the knob back down, and there you go. This fits on this piece of wood into this slot right here. Okay? So peer down, look over it, make sure it's high enough to cut it. And I can see now the blade does extend beyond. We're good. Just hold it in place. Make sure not to hold like this because you're in line with the blade. Hands are on top. And just make this angled cut. Now you've got that nice angle pre-cut. It's already there for you. Now with the exact same setup, or at least with the blade, with the guard off, we need to put a groove right down the middle of this. This groove is only about 1/8 of an inch deep, so it's very shallow, so we need to lower this blade quite a bit. That groove will be important when it comes to cutting it lengthwise, and that'll be a step far down the line. But we need it now, because once we cut the angles into, making your neck narrower, it won't be flat. I can't hold it flat on any surface, it'll wobble. So we're going to do that now. Lower the blade to about 1/8 of an inch. So I just take and put my board there so I can see the height of the tooth and go down till it's about 1/8 of an inch. It can be a little shallow or a little heavy and it'll still be fine. Now what do we set it to? This is 2 1/4. Half of 2 1/4 is 1 1/8. But because the blade is 1/8 of an inch thick, wide, I need to subtract another 1/16, half of that. So let's set it to 1 1/8. 1 1/8, it's right there. And now go down one more line, so it'll be 1 1/16. Right there. And if we put it in and look, it looks dead center, right here. Run it across the blade so it's on the big flattest side, right here. And that's all it is, just a groove, 1/8 of an inch deep. Now take one of these templates. This one actually says ukulele neck template. I'm happy to give it to you. It's in the one of the bins that I have in my cart. Lay it on top, and you want to get the back end perfectly flat. So flat on the back, flat on the top. Make it flat all the way across. And you just got to hold it in place while you take a pencil and mark all the way around. Make sure it's nice and dark so you can always see it. And then the end here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to cut this line on the bandsaw. So we're cutting through quite a bit of wood. So please understand it's going to take a little while. Take your time. Now remember, I have 2 bandsaws in the wood shop. This is my bigger one. The small gray one is on the other side over there. They both work fantastic, so I'm just picking one to use for the video. But to raise and lower this guard, they're a little different. This one is on the side. You loosen this knob and then you physically go up and down with this. It's counterweighted because it is very heavy. So I'll put it just a little above my wood, tighten it up. On the other bandsaw, it's in the back. It's right here. It's a black knob. So you turn it and then it'll fall because that is in counterbalance. So the other one, you got to hold on to it and then lift it and hold it in place while you tighten it back up. And now we're just going to follow this line. Here's our next step. So we've cut out the cutouts on the bandsaw. And I did want to mention this little nub right here. This is optional. Some people for necks like a little nub there to maybe for spacing or holding grip. I've got it cut on mine, but you don't have to have it. That on a lot of my ukuleles, I've just sanded that out and it's just a smooth transition. That is up to you. You don't have to have that, but it's there if you want it. Now to move on, we gotta cut the neck so it gets a little bit wider as we go. So that's what this template is for. It says fretboard template. And what we do, you can see the first fret right here, the line, is about 1/8 of an inch from the end. And you want to put the fret, there we go, inside of where this is. So this transition right here, if I use the edge of my pencil and kind of mark it, so you can see, this is where the flat area becomes the angled area. You want to put that inside the 1/8 of an inch. So the end of this template is lined up with the edge of those pencil lines right there. And that's really critical. Then we center it. And this is where it's really important. Your center cut here may or may not be dead center. That's okay, because that's straight. But make sure the distance here matches the distance there. And then same at the other end. And when that looks correct, just kind of hold it in place with my finger and draw a line on both sides. Here, there. And you saw it move on me, that's okay. Just put it back in place and draw it again. Okay, so nice and dark. Then you can take any of the heads you wish. There's a whole bunch of different styles. It doesn't matter to me. Now, one in particular actually says ukulele headstock. This one is the only one that has the holes, you know, mapped out. So that's fine. We can put this on right there. We match it up with a line that already exists right here, that transition line. Make it even left and right. There we go. And then mark the holes wherever they are. We can do that right now. If this is the design you want for your headstock, that's fine. Go ahead and trace it. Otherwise, pick whichever one you like and trace that on there. I like this one for this particular model that I'm making. Go ahead and trace the top and then trace the sides. And remember, all the sides, these angle parts, they're all the same in every one of the designs. So this here won't change. And now cut it on the bandsaw. Remember, as you're cutting, stay outside the line. I want to still see my pencil line. Do not cut off the line. Now you may have noticed that I didn't cut the headstock yet. The reason is because it's angled, because the base of the neck sticks up so much higher than this end. So to get a flat cut, I'd have to raise it up quite a bit so it's flat this way, and I can't do that safely. So what we're gonna do is, now that the sides are gone, I take the same template, flip it over, and I'm gonna trace it on the back. So how do I know if it's in the right place? Don't overthink it. I can see with my left eye this side, with my right eye I can see here, and I can just move it until both eyes are kind of seeing that they're at the same level. It's actually quite simple. My eyes are just here and here, and I can see it. Get it right, get it centered, and then go ahead and trace. But this side, I can hold flat on the bench, on the table of the bandsaw, and I can make that cut so it's not wobbling around all over the place. I came to the other bandsaw for no other reason than I want to show you can use both bandsaws. Now I've already set the height. The knob is right above, just off camera, right here. Make sure the height's correct. I can hold it flat now, and I can make my cuts. Since we're here, we just cut the top. Now as you can see, this is the side I cut, and I cut close to the line. It looks like I lined it up fairly well because I've got the same distance away from my pencil line here. Might as well sand it down, make it look good just here. I'm not going to touch anywhere else on these sides. And I'll kind of explain more about that later on. But this I can sand. I don't mind if it's up a little high. This is probably a little bit safer. So please understand, they both work. This one you're holding it a little more freehand. This one I would hold down on the table, and I probably would prefer this way. Now, when you come to this machine, if you have the wrong cylinder in, you want to use the cylinder that most closely matches your turn on the inside curve here. Now I've checked it, and this is the one I want. However, later on when we're sanding the neck here on these sides, I'll want a bigger one. It sands a little bit better. So to remove this, put your finger in the throat plate. That just comes out. This wrench is found under the table right here. It's just underneath this table, and you have to put it under the table. You can see it here. And that goes on that nut. Then most of the time I can simply unscrew this and it pops out. If this is so tight that you can't loosen it, there is another wrench also found underneath. That wrench goes above the black one that's already on, right there, and now I can break that nut, that tightness, and then it unscrews just fine. So I pull it out, grab the new one and put it in. Just hand tighten. You don't need to cinch it down because the spinning tightens it for you. Okay, we'll put that wrench away. Then grab the correct throat plate. There's 4 of them underneath the table, depending on the size, bigger or smaller, and it should fall right into place. Turn on the machine, and then I'm just gonna sand this top of the headstock to make it look good.